Gardening 101. Hello, today I'm talking about Gardening 101. Well, what I've learned about gardening. This season is my first season ever to do a garden, so I wasn't sure how it would end up. However, my gardening is doing really well. We're actually pulling off vegetables almost daily now. The first thing you need to know about gardening is you need to have a prime spot to plant in. You got to make sure it's big enough. You have to make sure your soil is good for it. If it's not a good soil, you'll need to till it up. Maybe till into some fertilizer into that, some potting soil, just to make sure that it is a good soil to plant in. You either want to have a tilled or a raised bed. You'll want to have plenty of sunlight. At least 6 hours a day. My garden actually has the prime spot because it gets about 6 to 7 hours of sunlight a day, but it also gets a few hours of shade as well. Then you have to decide what to plant. I've planted tomato, squash, cucumber, bell pepper, jalapeno, watermelons, cantaloupes, okra, pumpkin, and some herbs. My herbs are actually planted in separate pots in the front because I do have an herb garden in the front. Those are doing really well, but the other ones in the back are the ones that we're more focused on today. What I have learned about this experience is that I didn't give my plants enough room to grow because they're overcrowded. All of them are growing out there. My tomato plants are growing together. My squash plants are growing together. So I do know now that I need a bigger space for the amount of plants that I have planted. I need a much bigger space. But they are still growing really well. Excuse me, this has been a very trying experience because I did start out with some seeds to see if they would grow. The seeds did take a little longer. Most of them did not sprout, so I did go to starter plants. So that way I had a little bit more of an advantage when I did start growing my plants. But they have done really well. I do have some green beans that I planted from seeds that are doing also wonderful, as well as my cantaloupes were from seeds. So those are doing really great as well. It really just depends on the medium that you want to use. When you do plant your garden, it does take a lot of your time, so make sure that you are completely prepared for this because gardening it's a chore that you do have to actually buckle down and get to it, and then you can't just let it go. You got to get out there, you got to make sure you weed it, because you don't want those nutrients going to those weeds, you want them going to your plants. Make sure you keep all the weeds out of it, make sure that you get the grass, and make sure if the vegetables are ready that you pick them, because if you let them sit there too long they will rot on the ground. As well as you want the nutrients to go to the plants, you have to prune them. Make sure there's not a lot of extra foliage around your actual fruit or your vegetables that are growing, because you want those nutrients to go to that plant. And then, I mean, so far that has been my experience in gardening. It's been a very good experience. I've had such fun doing it. I can say that my cucumbers are a big hit. People do love them, so I'm doing something right. I just got to have a bigger space next time, and a lot more room to grow. And that was my experience on Gardening 101.